Hey, everybody, this is Rob. Good morning. It is Saturday, April something, April 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, somewhere around there. All the days just seem to be rolling into each other. So good morning. Thank you for joining. And we're waiting for my guest, Geoff Wilson. This is Saturdays with Geoff. He should be coming pretty soon. He'll be live from Belfast, Ireland, when he does join us. And today we're going to be talking about the new gig economy that is going to develop out of this this crisis. People working from home now. People have lost their jobs. People forced into furloughs. It has is going to create a whole demographic and a whole culture of people being used to working from home, or maybe not wanting to get back into the business or work for somebody else again. So there's going to be lots of changes that are going to happen, but most importantly, what's coming about is these opportunities to be a consultant, these opportunities to kind of work in this on-demand business culture that is certainly developing. And we're going to talk to Geoff about that, what it's like over in Europe right now, what's the climate like. He's been a consultant for many years over there as a sports strategist, digital marketing expert. And so Geoff is going to join us. But more importantly, we want to hear from you. We want to hear your thoughts. We want to hear where you are in your career, if that's something that you're even thinking about doing. So working from home, but more importantly, being a consultant, being an expert in a certain area. It doesn't really matter how old you are. It could be an expert in programming or analytics or graphic design or social media. These are all things that are going to be part of the gig economy. Or an on-demand executive role. So we want to hear from you. So leave us your comments. You do have to opt into StreamYard if you want us to be able to pop up your comments just like that. You don't have to put your name in there, but if you do, we'll read it out loud. But no, we're not going to ask you to come on here live. So just leave that for us as well. So if you are thinking about even joining starting a podcast, I started a webinar that allows people to kind of go through all the things that I've learned in podcasting, and just like this, and what has done to kind of grow my personal brand, my community online, and web. Just this platform alone has just offered us so many different platforms to grow. And to be able to connect to people out there. So podcasting 100%, even writing a book. I wrote a book a couple of years ago. This is published on Amazon for absolutely free. So if you do take my podcasting course and webinar, it's listed on my website, gameplanu.org. If you go to the webinar page, then you can see the courses in there. It's one Saturday, but then you have a whole bunch of access to me. So I'm going to bring in Geoff. Geoff, how you doing, my man?
Rob, I'm doing well. How's things with you in this? Well, I don't know what it's like where you are, but here it is beautiful, and it normally just rains in Northern Ireland. Here, the sunshine is fantastic, so everything is good.
Geoff, is it your birthday today? Are we missing something there?
Do you know, it's my son's birthday. He was 9 yesterday, so we had the first ever lock-in, COVID-19 lock-in birthday party, and it went well.
Fantastic. I'm sure. Was there any Guinness drank at that birthday party?
It was all kids friendly.
Oh, well, that's no fun. I'm sure. Well, happy birthday to your son. I love the fact you leave the door open so we can all smell that Northern Irish air. So thank you.
You're very welcome.
So, Geoff, I teed it up a little bit. I talked about our topic today, and that's kind of this new on-demand gig economy, and working from home or working remotely. I know that everybody's now being forced into being used to this, and I think just from your expertise in it, because you've made a career out of, right? Not a career, but this part in your life has been as a strategist and as a consultant with some major associations and. FIBA, FIFA, and the UEFA. What's that? The United European Football Association?
Yeah, that's UEFA. So UEFA would run the Euros, which would be similar to your CONCACAF, but also they run the Champions League. So they're basically people. So they're the member bodies within Europe. So everybody from Germany, England, Northern Ireland, France, Spain. So some of the real powerhouses of world football, both club wise and national stadium and national team wise, would be within the UEFA family.
I got you. So that would take the Premier League, and everybody else would come underneath that umbrella. Is it just for the championship seasons then?
So what UEFA do? UEFA are a member association, so their members are the federations. So the German, the Spanish, the French, the English, the Andorrians. So they're all federations, and then under those federations there'll be two different models. So one model is where the league is run by the federation, for example, in Ireland. Or the second model is where the league is separate. For example, the Premier League. So the FA and the Premier League are two separate organisations, but where the FA come, they manage and administer the rules, the discipline, and develop, really, in essence, the grassroots part of the game, the international part of the game, where the Premier League would be the elite end of club football.
I got you. All right, that makes a lot of sense. All right, so you're a consultant for him.
Yeah, so basically, I worked at the Irish Football Association here in Belfast for 10 years, and then left and started to work in 2014 with a range of different global sporting organisations. Football is one of the main ones, but also our soccer, as you guys would call it. More of late in the last 3 to 4 years within the world basketball, and I've just launched a new online course with Barcelona Football Club. So they have been very innovative. Probably Barcelona Football Club is maybe, let's say, the top 10 brand sports in the world. Everybody knows Barcelona Football Club, and so what they have started to do is to really use their brand, and they've created what they've called the Barcelona Innovation Hub, and that looks at sports tech startups, and it looks like e-learning, so the content and the knowledge they have within the organization. And it's very, very clever, very, very clever, because what they're saying is, let's commercialize, yes, the content that they've got, but let's also look at the sports tech area and see how we can be improved as a club using the latest minds in the sports tech area. Yeah, the LA Dodgers were probably the first, and there's a few other ones. But this is a new model, a new way of working, and Barcelona are really driving that forward.
Now, I see that happen a little bit here in the States too. You mentioned the Dodgers, but there's some other there's some other teams that now have sales academies. So, and I don't know if they're starting to steal that from the Premier Leagues that I know that have their own academies where they're developing their talent, not just from players, but they're also developing their business talent, right? So the people are coming kind of through there. So in lieu of going to college, I would assume this is a way for an old type of apprenticeship. So do you see that as a big model that may convert over here to the States?
Yes, and it's an interesting, it depends on what your club philosophy is. If your club philosophy is to develop talent and to win within your league, you will want to identify all of the best kids in and around your location and wider afield. So you bring them into your academy, you build them through from youth right the way up to senior level. And Lionel Messi, probably the world's best player, that's a perfect example where he was brought from Brazil into Barcelona and went through the whole youth setup. The second bit is, and that again gets back to what are you trying to do as a club? Are you a selling club? So you're using it from a commercial point of view as well as from a team point of view. So what you could do is you could create brilliant talent and be known as creating brilliant talent. But if you sell 1, 2 players every year for 10, 15, 20, 30 million, that makes a big difference to your bottom line. For you to make 10, 15, 20 million back on merchandising, food and beverage, it's going to take a long time. So most clubs will want to keep their players. and that makes a lot of sense. And you want to develop them, but the really good ones will be picked off by the top clubs to say, "Come for us." And if they through that, that becomes a revenue source for the clubs that they can reinvest back into the game and into their club again.
Yeah, that's the big difference than here in the States. So you don't have to pay those fees, those trade fees. Yeah, and that becomes a real asset for teams then, right? Because their value, just like property, will go up.
Yeah, and if you're if you're so this is my amateur league club, Crumlin United, totally
Yeah.
amateur.
Go Crumlin United.
Crumlin United. So we play at the lowest level. But if we train somebody for 3-4 years and they go to play for a semi-pro or a pro team, then when they sign a contract before a certain age, we actually get a development money for the time we have developed them as kids. So all of a sudden, if you can prove that you have done that, it's called FIFA Solidarity, then that brings you back in money. Why? Because you've invested your coaching, your time in developing that kid. The problem is not so many of those kids, are going to make it at the top level. You're talking 1% of players. So there's got to be a dose of reality. People who want to play in the Premier League or in La Liga, the chances are very, very slim. But you never know if they play Championship, and then you can get the development money, which is pretty good.
I got it. The model's changing all around, and this has not only going to force us to change how we do business and as with player development, and it's forcing us big time on what we're going to be doing here in the States with college athletics, which is our development leagues. Let's talk about careers. All right. Let's talk about the transition, and let's start with those seeking a job and a career in the sports industry. And when you have opportunities taking online courses at Barca, right? How do you see that developing and growing over there as part of the culture of maybe I don't want to go to Australia or Canada or United States, or you have or just stay in country there to get a sport management degree. How do you see the clubs and professional sports now becoming that educational platform?
Yeah, I think some will do that, some will not, and it gets back to their mission. Why are they existing? So are they
Yeah.
existing to benefit and ingrain in their local community, the like of Toronto FC? If you go to Toronto FC's mission statement, it's all about we're about the community. Um, so it's all about what it is you're trying to do as a club. What's your mission statement? What is it you're trying to do? What's your purpose? I think the next bit I would say it all depends on your reach. So if you've got somebody like Barcelona, Man United, you've got a global brand. So with a global brand, you can do much more. In other words, you can go into other areas such as education, sports tech, because that brand is so big. So to me, it depends on those two things. I also many clubs or teams, and be that in America, they're just there to make sure that they can survive and break even or make money and increase the equity of their brand. And to do that, that means getting the money in and then using that money to bring in the best players so that they succeed. And whether that's win a league or win a trophy, those ones that are a little bit more forward thinking, community engagement, deep community engagement, those that are using their sport for social good, they're the ones that probably will last longer. Why? Because Gen Z people that are coming up now, that's what they want. That's where their mindset is at. Brands that are doing social good in the community, as well as having that passion and that tribalism for wanting to support a team.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So let's transition. Let's transition to the gig economy, the on-demand executive, or working within a startup. But what is happening over there in Europe, and what's the culture going to shift to? Is it a consultant-based gig economy on-demand type of way to make a living over there now, or is it do you see that happening in the future?
Very interesting question. I think what I would say is I'm definitely seeing a lot more in people. So with a consultant, they've got certain things in their mind. And the good consultants have got lots of very forward thinking and very practical ways of doing consultancy. And then there's the bluffers, the people that can bluff and talk the talk. Those ones will struggle when it comes to the online economy, because when it comes to the online economy, you're buying what's in your brain, your experience, your knowledge, your processes, your templates, etc., your experience. So what I'm seeing at the minute is, without doubt, a growth in e-learning. So commercializing the content that's in here and putting that down on e-learning courses. What I'm seeing is a growth in online mentoring, being able to, with experience, mentor different businesses or different individuals within the business of sport, to give them that mentoring knowledge. And that is easily done through the likes of online. What will happen is consultancy probably will come back in terms of face-to-face, because there's nothing like face-to-face. But I think in the short term, consultancy will most likely be like this. So for example, Rob, you and I, this is maybe our third or fourth show, and we're building a friendship, and we have never met physically, yet we're building a friendship. So it does work, it's just different, and that's a change of mindset that people have got to do. I personally think with COVID-19, if we do not sort out the issues and have a vaccine, we could be, okay, lockdown is up, everybody's away. Oh, back again because the virus is spreading again, back in lockdown. Oh, we're back up again, everybody now's back out again. Oh, the virus is spreading, we're back in lockdown. And this could happen for the next year if we don't sort out the epidemic, and if we don't have vaccines to sort it out. That means your league season could be stop, start, potentially. And I do stress potentially. But this is where then there's got to be a mixture as a consultant of doing face-to-face, online, virtual, like this, as well as using commercially for e-learning and online mentoring. And that's where I see probably a lot of this maybe happening at present, but it's still very much a moving feast.
You know, you brought up a good point before, earlier on. You said about processes, right, and structure, the process and structure, and what's your templates that you bring to some other business. And I see that a lot with people that want to become, coaches and online. The key that they all have is they have a process, and they have a template, and they have a structure, and they have proper steps. Was that something that was natural for you when you first went over, or was it a learning process for you when you started kind of a needs analysis? What kind of help does each one of these federations, need, and kind of jump into a scope of work and then implement your processes and your structure?
Great question. I think for me, if I'm being really honest with you, I learned from other people, and you'll always learn from other people. I'm just an average Joe. I'm just an average person, and there's much, much better people than me. So what that means, when you're in that learning environment and when you're open to learning, you take what other people are doing, whether that's in the sports industry or outside the sports industry. So then what happens when you're challenging yourself to learn continually all the time? That improves your processes, your thoughts, and all the rest of it. So at the minute, we're doing some work with the likes of UEFA on a new strategic planning process. This is leading edge. And when I mean, Rob, leading edge, it is a million miles ahead of any sport I have seen. It is just amazing, the process for strategic planning that they're going through. Now, that's a process that they're giving to their federations. So I've been involved in working through that along with a wider team. But it's a wider team that's been involved. That's the point I'm trying to get to. When you get good heads around together, you learn together, and the output is something amazing. And that having that something amazing is that's where you learn all the time. That's just my gut feeling.
How much now do you spend on, prior to this, were you traveling a lot even prior to what were happening, or would you just do a lot of this, a lot of Zoom calls?
No, it was all traveling with a little bit of Zoom calls. So I've been to 85 countries inside maybe 15 years. So that's a lot of countries. And that's with either basketball or with football stroke soccer or speaking at conferences. So for me, there's nothing better than face to face. That's where the rubber hits the road. You get the passion for the people. You understand the sport in the area or the club or the country. And then once you've done that, then it's followed up by Zoom calls, Skype calls, etc., etc. Um, but what I would say, the way football has been, this type of Zoom calls, it's natural. It just is more of it at the minute. We've been doing this way for about 5 years. So it's just been natural for us. So what my life would be mainly on the road, meeting people, doing the workshops, going through the processes, follow up with online Zoom or Skype calls. And sometimes you actually do everything online. So it's a mixture of all of that, but nothing beats face to face.
So, what areas do you see as the biggest growth areas for freelancers, consultants, and especially if they're just coming out? So maybe they don't have a lot of experience; they're in their mid-20s. You know what? They don't want to be in the commuter. They don't want to be in the rat race. Now that they get a lot of people getting a taste from working from home, it's kind of cool. It's kind of good, especially. So, what areas do you see it in social media management, graphic design, analytics? I mean, what expertise and what traits and skills would you suggest someone in their early 20s, 30s, or just coming into getting their feet underneath them?
Yeah, I mean, great. And again, Chambers, you're on fire today,
I
Rob.
am.
These
I slept
these
well last night.
questions,
I
but
slept
I
well
am
last
telling
night.
you, these questions are just amazing. Okay, let me start off by saying a career in sport is amazing. And I would suggest that if you're in a industry and you do not enjoy getting up every morning, change it. Now that's easy for me to say. I understand it. There's a lot in it, but what I'm trying to get to, you need to have a passion for the place and the industry and the job that you're in. If you don't have a passion for it, you're never going to be 100%. So that's the first thing I would say. Second, I would say that people buy you as a consultant, your knowledge and experience. So the question, I would say, what experience and knowledge do you have, and what projects have you been doing that are really standout projects? So not just from university, what are those projects that you have been involved in that really stand out? And that then sort of goes to the next question of credibility. Because if you've developed some projects and you've got that credibility, then that will really help not only when you're speaking at conferences, but when you're doing consultancy. And then the last bit I would say is, what's your black book like? So we call a black book as being your contacts. If you're going out in consultancy, if you're young and you've just finished doing your masters, I would suggest go and work in a federation, go and work in a team, go and work in a club, get that experience first and foremost. If you've been there for a time and you've got good knowledge and you've got good projects, i.e. rebranding, data, whatever it may be, then you're ready for consultancy with a good black book and good credibility. Now, you asked areas, I'll pick, so that's a very broad introduction. I'm going to pick four real simple. Number one, strategic planning. Number two, sports governance. Number three, digitalization. And when I mean digitalization, I do not mean content. I mean a deep dive into processes internally for digitalization. Number four, data. And sorry, number five is marketing, sports marketing. Those are the 5 areas that you need to know and need to know well.
And do you think, it's really hard, especially without that black book, right? Without that black book, without relationships, that's a hard thing to have. What if they don't have that? How do they get the attention of a team or of executives, or even kind of below that, like third party vendors?
Yeah, good.
That's a hard one.
So
I'm hitting you.
it is
I'm
a
hitting
hard
you
one.
hard today.
You are hitting me hard. What? Yeah,
Yeah.
come on. So I'm going to answer it in 2 ways. First of all, if you don't have a black book, I would say seriously think about not doing consultancy, because if you don't have a black book, you don't have credibility, and you don't have the experience working in sport, it's very difficult to give good meaning consultancy. So that's the first thing. But the second thing, if I want to try and answer it, let me answer it to what I do. So how do I promote myself? How do I get through the door? And it's as follows. So I write blogs. I write one a month. Nothing major, but I write blogs. That is unique content that I'm suggesting, and part of those blogs are models. So as you know, I've created a fan engagement model, but also a growing attendance model. So you're creating content. So that's blogs. Two, webinars like now, podcasts. So you're getting on these programs and you're putting across your ideas. Number three, speak at conferences. So I normally would speak at about maybe 5-6 conferences a year on sports related activities, and always free to do that. Number four, monthly emails. Every month I have a list of about 250 top sports people, and every month I send them articles about what's happening, educational articles, so they get value. Number five, I post a lot on social media, on my LinkedIn site, on my Twitter and Instagram. Again, I post articles that the industry can learn from. So what I'm doing is I'm reading, but I'm then saying, good article, I want to share that with the industry so they can learn as well. And then the last area, which is just of recent, is, so as I've mentioned before, we started the course with Barcelona Football Club. When you're doing e-learning courses, when you have wrote a book, when you have all of that, provides credibility. So to me, it's write blogs, be on the webinars, podcast, speak at conferences, monthly email, social media posts, and do that e-learning content or write a book, something that gives you, but don't do it until you have the knowledge, the experience, the credibility, and then away you go in those things.
Yeah, there's no way you could fake it until you make it, anymore. I mean, you're going to get revealed really quickly. However, you could build up, that trust and that interest. If you're very passionate about something, it could be very, very thin lane of whatever it may be. You could build up a community online to do that. Once people trust you, right? And if you're providing information that is educational, maybe a little bit funny, right? Or your point of view on things that makes sense, that's practical. I agree with that second part of, you were very, that was stuff. Don't even get into the industry, but you're right about that. There's the second part of that is brilliant. I wrote my book. It's 85 pages, but how to land a dream job if dad doesn't own the team. It's just practical steps, right? Of how to build your awareness, your experience, your soft skills, the traits and characteristics that you need every day to get up and be a sales professional or a business professional, right? And it's as simple as, don't go out on Friday and Saturday night and spend all your money, right? It's a fact that get ready to spend 6 to 8 years of not making any money at all. Doing it for way less. So save your money. Don't go out and party, right? Become a student of the business, not of the game. Anyways, I'm just kind of tagging on to what you said. So I 100%, we're on the same page of that one. It's not undoable. It's just going to take you longer if you really want to chase your dream to be in that spot. So
you're absolutely right, so I've got the sports marketing, sports businesses stripes on my back, and that, in other words, doing it when you've done something and you have went through it properly and you've actually been there, you're talking with confidence and with deep knowledge, and that's what a consultant really needs, and that's what people buy. And if they don't, you will know, because they will not invite you back. That's when you know you're in trouble as a consultant, when people don't invite you back.
Yeah, that's true. Yes, and then you go into deep depression. All right, deep depression. But so anyway, so let's leave it with this. You did talk about your online course. If you go to gameplanyu.org and you go to webinars, there's Geoff's beautiful face up there with his Janet Jackson microphone giving us at a conference. He's got a microphone and a Janet Jackson headset. So on that one, I noticed that. I picked it up. He says, wait a minute, how many mics does this guy need? So it's on there. There's a click. if you click on the button there, it takes you directly to the course. So talk about the course. How long is it, and what does it entail?
Yeah, thanks for that. So basically it's a 4-month online course. You normally are spending between 6 and 8 hours, going through that a week. And basically what the course is doing, it talks about trends, talks about doing a digital audit and how to do research to see where your baseline is. Then it talks about creating and how to create a digital strategy. So it gives a template on what a digital strategy is and how that digital strategy should be developed. Then it talks about how you generate money on digital, how you do your content and content planning and communications and crisis management on digital. It talks about fan engagement and what you need to be or could be doing on fan engagement. And at the end of this, you get a certificate from Barcelona Football Club. This is a proper certificate that's linked to a university that they have partnered with. So it is a proper certificate. But at the end of the day, we have kept this really practical. These are steps that you can then, when you do your digital audit, here's the template, you go do. Here is the digital marketing plan. Here's the template. We'll talk you through it. Now you go do. Here is some digital revenue ideas, etc., etc. Now you go do. So it's really practical and really beneficial the way I've tried to write this. And as I say, the beauty is from a university, you get a proper certificate as well.
When does the course start?
So the course actually went live yesterday, and I've already had people in different parts of the world already said that they have signed up, which is really nice. I so want people to learn. I so want people to share knowledge together, and I do want that's why I share lots of articles and lots of content. And in this case, it's nice that Barcelona Football Club has asked me to put my knowledge down on an e-learning course, but this has to be good. This is a good time to research. This is a good time to learn whenever you have when we're in lockdown. So please go and try it out, and you can just type in Barcelona Innovation Hub digital sports marketing course, and or get it on Game Plan U website.
Yeah, you go either way, so Geoff, thank you so much. Happy birthday to your son. Tell your wife thank you for allowing us to come into her kitchen for a half hour.
And listen, I wish all of your readers and yourself a happy Easter. I was going to say to take it easy, but we've been doing that for the last 2-3 weeks. But yeah. Have a good time, a good Easter.
I don't think I put real shoes on the last 3 weeks anyway. So, I feel like I lived down on a beach in an island. Hey, Geoff, it's always a pleasure. I'm Rob. That's Geoff over there. You're watching Game Plan U today on a Saturday edition. I bid everybody nice, healthy, and happy Easter. Take care. We'll see you next time.